My sister's 19 and got pregnant a while ago, 4 months. Our parents weren't necessarily the happiest bunch upon hearing about it, and there were a lot of arguments around the house. My parents didn't actually kick her out, but the house was getting too small for the three of them. I've only seen her boyfriend once or twice, but he's an airhead, and from my sister's description, he also has a very small apartment, so I told my sister that she could just come stay in my house while we sort this out. She agreed and has been staying in my guest bedroom for the past 2 months. I had to leave town for 2 weeks because the company was going to crap and my boss asked for me to come personally, so tensions were high which could have influenced my decision. Anyways, I got back home Saturday afternoon and saw my sister and her boyfriend outside in the pool. I am really uncomfortable with a stranger being in my house while I'm not here, but that's on me for not putting up those boundaries. I didn't greet and went straight to my room. I get there and my bed is unmade. I remember making it before I left, but I could be mistaken, so I continue to the bathroom and it's filled with all of her toiletries and some boxers that are definitely not mine on the rail. Maybe my sister wears boxers, right? And for some reason that's beyond me, she wanted to shower in my ensuite. Now add the rubber, used and unused, on my bedside table and everything just becomes clear. She's been sleeping and having love in my bed while I was away. That's disgusting. I literally had just picked up another man's rubber, which was used by the man having love with my younger sister on my bed. Lovely. I went outside to call my sister aside to further discuss this. At first she was really apologetic and offered to clean my room etc, but then she changed when I apparently kept pointing out that it was disgusting and inappropriate. Note that this was the same conversation, and then she started getting quite cheeky and said that my bed was more comfortable for her back and that the mattress in her room is uncomfortable and crap compared to mine. No crap, because the guest bedroom should be better than the master bedroom. Then she went on and said that I shouldn't even care because I wasn't there anyways and she'd said she'll clean up. And then her boyfriend came in and tried to talk to me man to man about the whole situation, which royally pissed me off, so I told him to get out and told my sister that she also needs to leave as soon as possible. As expected, she returned to her apologetic state, but I wasn't for that. Called my mom and she came over yesterday to help get her things and they left. Sister, just sent me a message calling me an idiot and telling me that she'll never forgive me for this. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Inviting her boyfriend over and using the pool with him is one thing. I can totally see her thinking that's fine, considering you hadn't put up any rules about it. But having love in somebody else's bed while you're a guest, there is way across the line of what anybody could think is acceptable behavior. Who texted you that they wouldn't forgive you, your sister or your mother? Not the idiot. Both of these people are trashy as hell. As an aside, since most people already hit on the sister, I like how that little boy tried to talk to you man to man. Men don't make love in other people's beds and come over invited to other men's houses because their tiny piss poor apartment is too small and uncomfortable to provide for the girlfriend they knocked up. Huge violation of your boundaries, and these particular boundaries don't even need stating, or at least shouldn't. Your sister sounds like an airhead, so maybe the boyfriend is a great match for her. Absolutely gross and unacceptable. Now, if you didn't want your boyfriend staying over, that you should have stated clearly. Her having a boyfriend over is not the main problem. The violation of what is clearly your private space is. Let her never forgive you for this. All she likes. She needs to grow up a bit. I'm 28 and my fiance is 29. We have a 4-year-old autistic niece. Now we plan on getting married July 2021, so save the dates have been sent. On your invites we have put we love all of your children, but for the night we are having an adult-only reception. Now our niece is our flower girl with our 2-year-old nephew, so they will be in the wedding and the photos, but not the reception. However, my future sister-in-law has told us that her daughter will also be at the reception, that she can't be just put with a sitter, even though I'm a special education teacher, so I have a friend who would be willing to watch her instead of going to the reception. We have put our foot down and said there's no children at our wedding. She's ASD level 2, her triggers are music that's not kids, food with certain textures, lights, other people sitting certain ways, clothing textures, the whole thing, even if the clothes are on other people. I have my dream dress for the reception, because if I wore it around her, it would trigger her. I have accommodated my entire ceremony, I'm even walking down the aisle to a Tangled song. And I assumed that would be enough for future sister-in-law, but it's not. She basically wants me to scrap my entire reception plan for her. I told her no, and she's gone to my job to tell them that I'm unfit for my work due to lack of care I have shown to people outside of work. This being a private school, they have to take it seriously, so they are investigating the claim, as 3 of my future sister-in-law friends have also called them. My fiance and mother-in-law are telling her off, saying it's not fair to the family to have to accommodate my niece 24/7, and they want to have a night of adult fun without worrying about a niece meltdown because I decided to wear a sparkly dress and serve chicken and listen to music that wasn't created for children. My fiance and I want a child-free wedding reception because personally we don't have time to hang out with our friends without children around, and we all deserve a night of adult-only fun. But I'm starting to think I am the idiot due to how it's affecting my job, and if I am not willing to accommodate my niece for one day, why am I working with kids whom are worse off than her? Not the idiot. It is 100% okay to have a kid-free wedding reception. I would be no contact with future sister-in-law until she gave me a sincere, unqualified apology and retracted her statements to my job in writing. And if I suffered any negative employment consequences because of this, I would be no contact for life. There wouldn't be any coming back from that for me. This is ridiculous. Also, calling your workplace. What the hell? I'd kick her out of my wedding and potentially my life. She is actively trying to ruin your life because you're not prioritizing her child. Her daughter with autism is not your responsibility. Her inability to get a sitter for your wedding isn't your problem. This is your special day and you have done way more than enough to accommodate. Not the idiot. How dare your future sister-in-law approach your job? It's time for you and your fiance to formalize the team that you're becoming with a solidifying act. It's time to totally uninvite future sister-in-law and her kids from your wedding. You don't need child attendant. You probably even want to seriously consider cutting them out of your lives entirely. She is trying to tank your professional life because she doesn't agree with your wedding. She is cruel, underhanded, and behaving inappropriately. She needs to go. Your fiancé needs to support you in this. I, 27, fiancé, 28, and I have been dating for about 6 years now, and he proposed last year. We started planning a wedding almost immediately because we want to start our family soon. We're both stable in our jobs, we found a house, and are working on a down payment, etc. Basically, we didn't see a reason to wait. So the date has been set for late September, and the venue will be able to support our large number of guests, around 200. My brother, 25, and his fiancée, 24, recently got engaged and have also started wedding planning. My future sister-in-law, I'll just say future sister-in-law, reached out and asked if she could talk to me about wedding planning. Thinking she wanted help choosing colors or something, I agreed. She basically asked me if I could get married in the afternoon and she could get married an hour or two later, and then we shared the reception. She pitched the idea as a great way to become sisters, and that she knows how close my brother and I are, and that this would mean the world to him. In reality, I know that they aren't financially well off, and she wants the fancy wedding without the fancy wedding price tag. They're both grad students and I assume that she's a little jealous of the elaborate wedding that I have planned. I've been saving for this day for a long time. I didn't really know what to say, but managed to get out, but that's mine and fiance's wedding. We planned it for us and wanted to be about us. She then exploded on me in anger and tears and said that I didn't understand how hurtful it was to see the amazing wedding I'm planning and know that she couldn't have something like that. She called me a selfish idiot and heartless. I told her I waited to get married so that I could afford the wedding I wanted, and she told me that she wants to get married before she's old and dried up like some people. Then I started crying and ran off to go home. I got a call from my brother later. He stated that, while he was on board with sharing the wedding day, he's upset with future sister-in-law about how she approached it. He asked me to please reconsider and that they would help pay for the extra guests, meaning her friends and family who I don't know. I was still hurting from her comments and told him that I didn't want to share my wedding day and I wasn't even sure if I wanted future sister-in-law there for my wedding day. My brother quickly said goodbye and hung up. I haven't heard from him or future sister-in-law in a few days. Am I being selfish for wanting that day for fiancé and me? I feel bad that they don't have the funds right now, but I was in grad school at their age and couldn't afford to get married either, so I waited because I wanted a huge celebration to share with our family and friends. Not the idiot. That's your day, and if you want to and are able to spend a load of money on it, then you go right ahead. Future sister-in-law doesn't seem to understand living within her means or the fact that you don't need a huge wedding to be married. My best friend and her husband were so focused on the wedding that they really didn't think about the marriage, and now they are not in a good marriage. My hubby and I had a simple wedding at my parents' house for less than $1,000 and are quite happy. She just wants you to pay for her wedding, and it sounds like your brother does too. He says they would help pay. That doesn't sound like he even intends to fully pay for the extra expenses you'd incur, he'd just help. Are they both normally this damn entitled? A failure to plan and save on her part does not constitute an emergency on your part. Either she adjusts her expectations, or she waits until she can afford it. Do not let her hijack your wedding. Not the idiot. It almost sounds like she's trying to take the attention away from you and your fiancé by pulling that move. They may not be financially well off, but they can still save money and have a nice ceremony of their own sometime down the road. They're trying to share your wedding date sounds incredibly stingy and immature. You deserve your own special day, and she deserves her own separate special day as well. My mom died when I, 16, was 6. My dad remarried when I was 11. He fell in love hard and fast with his wife and they got married 6 months later. She had 3 kids ages 6, 7, and 9 at the time. It was a lot for me. Everything is so much more. Things are louder and busier, and there are so many more people, and I was never excited like they were, but I never wanted to say anything, so I kept my mouth shut and let things happen for my dad, who was so happy. On the inside I was hurt though. I was hurt that my dad seemed to be so eager to leave everything behind when he got remarried. We no longer did pizza after school on Friday. We no longer watched something together on Sundays before bed. Everything had to, including everyone, and when I would ask to do something just with my dad he would say no and look confused. One time my dad asked why I was so eager to do stuff with him, but never cared about family time, and I said, because I missed him. He said I never lost him. Then back in October last year they put us all into family therapy, because for one of my classes we had to design something in computer class. I was given a family tree, did the family tree of my dad, mom and me and then grandparents, etc. My teacher showed my dad at a PT conference because of how good it was, and he and his wife freaked out about the steps not being included, and so family therapy happened. First therapist was a dud, second one didn't make anyone feel comfortable, and then when we were supposed to start with the current therapist COVID hit and we couldn't do them from home, so we started in July or August, can't remember when exactly now. Then she was good and so I opened up. But I don't think they handled it well. 4 sessions and I was asked why I was distant. I admitted I found it hard. I felt like everyone else was so happy and I didn't want to rock the boat, but it was too much for me and I missed when it was just me and my dad because that's when it was most comfortable for me. She asked what I missed about it. I said it was the time I got with my dad, the fact it always felt like home, and it has felt less like home since more people joined the family, and I have felt bad about it, but it was a lot going from 3 to 2 for so many years, and then we went up to 6 overnight, and it was all so fast, and they were so eager and started calling me their sister and daughter right away, but I didn't feel that way, and then my dad stopped doing our stuff together, and I felt like I lost him. My dad said he was hurt I wasn't happier for him and that I didn't give it more of a chance before rejecting them. My stepmom was hurt that after 5 years I hadn't warmed up to her and her kids enough to feel like they were part of my home. The therapist said how I felt was valid and asked why they felt like what I said was bad. And we have been going around in circles since. Am I the idiot? I feel like I should have stayed quiet because now they're just mad at me. Not the idiot. As a kid you don't know how to tell your dad who's on top of the world that you don't feel comfortable. He should have been more understanding to your feelings and asked you how you were doing. Your dad and stepmom are the idiot. They aren't evil, but they should have tried to put themselves where you are and try to understand that you may not be happy and feel comfortable at all with how things went and transitioned over to. That is an inappropriate thing for an adult parent to say to a child. You are a child and not responsible for his feelings. They are mad at you because they don't want to admit they are the bad guys in this scenario. But they are. This is on them, and you are allowed to feel what you feel. Is there any other adult who you could confide in? And maybe bring up in therapy their refusal to engage in the process. Your dad should have asked your opinion about the steps before they moved in. That he is ready doesn't mean that you are ready or need to be ready. Calling your sister or daughter is way out of line. Since you are a teenager, they should have asked you if you were okay with it. Nobody thought about you. I feel sorry for you. Your dad and stepmom need to think about you and not about themselves. I, 18, have a super repetitive and predictable routine. Every morning at 9:55, I go into the kitchen to pack my lunch for work. Every morning at 9:55, my mom decides she absolutely needs to be in the kitchen as well. Emptying the garbage, rearranging stuff in the cupboards, wiping down the counter, whatever. But it's like she waits for me to go to make my lunch and then comes in. The kitchen isn't very big, so she's always bumping into me while I'm cutting stuff up or standing in front of cupboards I need to get into. I've asked her politely a couple times if she could wait until I'm done. I take 10 minutes, max, but she snapped at me for ordering her around in her own house. Yesterday, I was cutting up vegetables and she came in to wash dishes and ended up bumping into me while I was using the knife. I got a small surface level cut on my finger. It honestly wasn't bad, but I was so frustrated with her that I snapped and said, maybe if you didn't insist on being my personal backpack every morning, this wouldn't have happened. My parents are saying I'm an idiot for snapping at her for this, but my sister is siding with me. I feel bad for being rude, but I also think it was partially justified on my end. Am I the idiot? Probably not the idiot. I agree with the others. Try doing your chores a little early and see if she does it. But keep in mind, it might not be done maliciously. My husband often shows up in the kitchen during my normal routine because he just instinctively wants to be around me, or he has his own schedule that coincides, or my being in there reminds him of what he needs to do, and if he doesn't do it right then, he forgets. Not saying it isn't agitating at times, but when you're living with others you need to find ways to coexist harmoniously. Everyone's the idiot here. You have the option of changing your routine too. Make your lunch the night before, or earlier in the morning. One of two things will happen, either you will have your alone time in the kitchen, or she will do the same thing, in which case you can have an adult conversation with her about her behavior. You win either way. Not the idiot, she is purposely going in there while you're in there and is bumping into you because it's a small area. Then wants to get mad at you when you're mad because you cut yourself because she bumped into you while you were cutting something. Anyone who thinks she is in the right is an idiot, because anyone with common sense should know that when someone is using a knife, bumping into them can cause them to cut themselves.